one of the things that the negative construction responded to from one of my earlier speeches was that the law from 1992 with the FDA. One thing that I wanted to respond to was, yes, there is some policies that the FDA does have. However, it's the voluntary safety consultation that they have. And the significant claim on that is that it doesn't necessarily show the entire picture of safety on GMOs. Subsection A. These voluntary safety consultations are all done internally, as I said before, from the company itself. A separate article stated that the FDA policy has been unchanged since 1992, and it places a large responsibility on the producers and the manufacturers to ensure that the safety of the food is explicitly relying on the producers and manufacturers to do so, and ultimately it's their responsibility to show if the food is safe or not. And it's the company that does this, and is not necessarily an independent scientific review on it, and they're the ones who provide the research on the safety. A little excerpt from one of the letters that the FDA sends back to the company states that based on the safety of the nutritional assessment you have conducted, it is our understanding that Monsanto has concluded that the corn grain of forage derived from the new variety are not materially different in composition and safety or other relevant parameters from the corn grain in the forage currently on the market, and they do not raise issues that would require the pre-market review of approval by the FDA. This just shows, and the FDA has sent out about 97 of these letters of their safety consultations to the companies back, and this just shows that the FDA doesn't necessarily have much to say on the safety assessments. They just say, they just have like a sort of a rubber stamp food, as you would say, and they just send it back and say, oh, that's fine. They don't necessarily say their own opinion about it. Subsection C, the FDA's own website states that its current policy doesn't specifically target GMOs. What the website says that under the FDC Act, the food labeling that is false or misleading is generally prohibited. Food labeling is misleading and it fails to reveal material facts, information that is material in light of statement that it suggests on labels or material with respect to consequences that may result from the use of the food. They don't necessarily, this policy doesn't necessarily say anything about GMOs. It doesn't necessarily say anything specific about them. Now, another thing that I want to respond to is the negative constructive statement that labeling would drive up food prices, and their workability argument on that. Aside from the evidence that I've already previously stated in my speech, I would like to say it would not really cost additional money to relabel. An independent study done by Econ North has collected studies from the cost impact of the state ballot initiative, the European Union's labeling regime, and the U.S. Food and Drug Administration labeling cost model. Their analysis did not account for the changes of the consumer taste due to GMOs, and therefore did not assume that the companies would be altering their products, and that currently including genetically engineered ingredients. While the final conclusion is that the median cost would be $2.30 per person for years, the 6 relevant estimate reviewed for the study ranged from 32 cents to $15.01, which is definitely different from what the negative conservatives said about estimating about $348 to $401. This is definitely a lot less. And during an interview, one of the co-founders of Ben & Jerry's discussed with the matters with Democracy Now! Said that his company does support the GMO labeling, and he states that giant food industry companies such as Monsanto, some of the chemical companies say that they are going to add huge costs to the food bills, which is simply not true. He stated that they spend millions of dollars trying to convince people that it's going to make your food more expensive, and whereas it is true, whereas in truth, changing the labels of food packages costs essentially nothing to them.